Hi everyone, Lab 11. Let's jump into it here. I will share my screen and we'll get going. All right, so the lab instructions here. First of all, this Lab 11 calls Lab 9, not Lab 10, okay? So Lab 11 is an alternative way of getting data into your store table, doing a merge rather than doing an insert, okay? So you don't call Lab 10, you call Lab 9 when you execute your Lab 11, okay? Important point. All right. Let's look at number 1 here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be fairly easy. Given that you have a successful Lab 10, okay? You've done Lab 10 correctly, then Lab 11 will fall right into place. All right, this step requires that you use the query from Lab 10 that you use to insert records into the rental table. You need to put it inside the using clause of the merge statement as the query. Then resolve which columns you use in an update statement and resolve which columns you use in an insert statement. Okay, so he gives you the shell here for the merge statement, and you see from the course video that you copy and paste this into your SQL script and then fill it in. All right, let's step back just a second. What is the merge doing? Okay, so the merge takes an existing table, whatever the data is in an existing table, and then the query statement, it uses the query statement to select more data and then merge that data into the one table, the target table. Okay. So we have data already in our rental table from Lab 9. Right, we have 8 rows in our rental table, and in our transaction upload table we have 4,681 transactions, and now we want to put those from the transaction upload table into the rental table. Okay, so same objective as in Lab 10 using the insert. Now we're going to use a merge statement. All right, so merge into rental, and then target here is an alias, right? That's just an alias name for the rental table. And then using, and here's where you put your query. Okay, this is your inner query. So step 1, right, it's select distinct, and that whole query you put inside the parentheses here in the using clause, and then you see source here on the outside. And so source is an alias for the result of that query, right? So Oracle runs that query, it builds a result table in memory, you give it the name of source, and then it's going to take that result table and merge it into the rental table, okay? So when we're doing a merge, then we look for when matched and when not matched. And so when matched, when the row in the rental table matches a row from the transaction upload table, what do we do? And we give Oracle some instructions here. And then when not matched, when there's a row from the transaction upload table not from that query, from that result query that is not in the rental table, then what do we do? And you see here the when not matched, then we insert it, right? So, and then here's our insert, rental s1.nextVal, and then source, which is the alias there, dot column name. And what is the column name? These are the column names of the rental table, right, that will line up with the select clause of your inner query here, of your select distinct, right? Okay. Now let's look at this when matched. So by using, before we talk about that, when using a merge statement, you can rerun the merge. And we will do that in this lab. We'll run the merge several times. The first time we run the merge, what happens? We've got 8 rows in our rental table, and then we've got this result query from our transaction upload table that has joined a bunch of other tables, right? And the first time through, when Oracle hits this when matched, there won't be any matches, right? Because we've got the 8 rows already existing. None of those will show up in the transaction upload table, right? They're 2 separate, distinct sets of data at this point. And so first time through, when matched, that condition will not occur. When not matched, that will be the condition that always occurs because we have 2 separate sets of data first time through. Okay. When we rerun the query and Oracle comes through, and now all of that data is in our rental table, then Oracle will find matches. And in fact, everything will match on subsequent runs. What do we want Oracle to do then when we run this again and it finds matches? So we're going to update the last updated by and last updated date, and that's all we're going to do, because we really don't need Oracle to do anything when they match. So we're just going to update those 2 things. All right, so what does that look like? So I'm going to show you here. So I just extracted this from my key code here. And so you see here the when matched, then an update set target dot last updated by equals source dot last updated by target dot last update date equals source dot last update date. We'll just update those 2 things, and we really don't need to do anything else. Okay, and so you see a couple of lines from the insert here. This is not all there is, of course, and then you have the rest of your columns for your insert into the that will be inserted into the rental table. Okay. All right. So you should read up on a merge. Look that up. See what a merge does. Look at the syntax of how to construct the merge statement, and but basically you have it here. Okay. So After you run the merge, then here is your validation statement. And we're going to select 2care count, rental after merge from rental. And here you see in our 2care, rather than just doing a count, we're going to do a formatted count this time, okay? And so to do formatting, we use the 2care function. And then the count will be formatted per the specification here with numbers and a comma in the thousandth position, right, for the number. All right, we're going to use the 2care function more here in this lab. So look up the 2care function, play around with it, become familiar with it, so that you can use it for formatting. Okay. So your result, right, should come back with 4,689 rows after the merge. Okay. Step 2. Now you do the same thing with your query of the for the rental item table, right? You built that query in Lab 10. So that query goes in the using clause here, and you construct this merge statement in the same way. And then you have your validation query and your validation result. And you should have 11,533 rows after the merge, okay? And then step 3, worth 6 points, is the same thing again, all right? This time we're building the transaction table and merging with the transaction table. And here's the shell for that, the validation query, and your validation result. And that's it for step 3. So pretty straightforward. A lot of cut and paste, then you complete the syntax and get each one of those to run successfully, and you're on your way. Step 4, after running the first 3 steps, you need to put the 3 merge statements into a single upload transaction procedure. Then you need to run the upload transaction procedure, run a validation query, and then run the upload transaction procedure a second time and run a validation query, okay, to show that the procedure is rerunnable, okay? So Brother McLaughlin gives you the PL SQL code here. You see create or replace and the name of the procedure, upload transaction, and then you put the merge statements that you created in steps 1, 2, and 3 into the PL SQL procedure. So right here is your merge into rental. You have that merge. Then you merge into rental item, and you put in that merge. And then you merge into transaction, and you put in that merge. All right. And then you complete your PL SQL code here, and be sure that you have the slash at the end, which ends the procedure. All right, then you execute the upload transaction, and then here is your validation query. So the executing the upload transaction will then go and perform those 3 merges again. Your validation query here and the results for your validation query. Note that there is an error right here. So you should come back with 11,533 rental items in the count, not 11,532. All right, and then to show that the merge is rerunnable, then execute the upload transaction again, the validation query again, and note that you get the same results again. And again, this is 11,533, not 11,532. Okay, so that's it for steps 1 through 4. All right, in step 5, we do some new things. We're going to create a query that prints the following types of data for the year 2009. Okay, so we're doing a report. Okay, and we're going to use the Oracle functions capabilities to run a report for the year 2009. Okay, he has here, which is only possible when you adjust for the included 6% interest, and that's in the transaction table, right? We already did that, right? When we built the query for pulling data from the transaction upload table, and we summed that and we divided by 1.06 to take out that 6%. He calls it interest here. In a business sense, that's tax, right? Probably tax that was added. And so we've already taken that out. And so what's in your transaction table should be $3 per rental item, not 3.18. Okay, so so we did that, and when you ran step 3 and you ran that merge, then using that query build in Lab 10, then you took care of the 6%, taking out the 6%. Okay. Now, what is this report about? This is a preliminary report that lets the business user see what their aggregate earnings would be with a 10% and 20% increase, as well as see the incremental increases by themselves. What does that mean? So we're running this report and we're predicting. So we're going to sum the value by month of the transactions for the year 2009, and we're going to see how much money did we make each month in the year 2009. And then we're going to project. So if we did 10% more business, how much more money would we have made? Or if we could have done 20% more business, how much more money could we have made? Okay, so that's what we're doing here. Business rule, he says, this join can be made against only the transaction table. This is not correct terminology here. We're not doing any joins. What this means to say is this report or this query can be made against only the transaction table. Okay, no joins. All right. The system logic. Implement consistent with the business rule and available resources. Perform the group by. Okay, so we're going to be summing by month, therefore we will need to group by. And you've done a group by clause already, right? So we're going to do a group by in this query. He talks about here with a non-displayed sorting key. Okay, I'll tell you more about that. Okay, so don't worry about that right now, but we're going to create a column in our select, and it's going to be a hidden column. We're not going to print it out in the report. It's a hidden column in our select that will allow us to sort the data correctly so we get the months in the correct order, January through December. Okay, so that's what he's talking about here. And to do that, we need numeric values for the month. And to do that, we use an extract function. Okay, so you'll benefit from knowing about these functions as you solve this part of the lab. The extract function returns a number between 1 and 12 when you extract month, and a 4-digit year when you extract year, a number, okay? Copy the code into a terminal session or development tool and test it. And so copy this into your PL/SQL, your SQL Plus environment, and just run it and see what it does. Just so look this up, this extract function, play with this, and see how this extract function behaves. Okay, and in this example that he gives you to run, selecting this from dual our pseudo table, right, so that we can just run this select against these values that these static values that we put here. Okay, so do that, play with that, and then also the toChar function, and play with that so that we can get formatting with a $sign and with commas and the decimal point all in the right place, and so see what that does. All right, then he gives here the specifications for the report. Okay, but what will really help us, what we really want to look at, is the validation result. It's the result of running that query. Okay, so there is no separate validation, right? You run the query, produce the report, that is the validation, right? When you get this as your output, then you have created the report correctly. So what are we doing here? So we have headers here. Month, base revenue, 10 plus, 20 plus, 10 plus, less base, 20 plus, less base. I don't particularly like the order that he puts these columns in, but nevertheless, we'll do it in this order, and let's just talk about it, okay? So the first column is month. And we need to construct this column. We want a 3-letter abbreviation for the month, followed by a dash, followed by the year, 2009. And we need to construct this column, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, and then this base revenue, this is just the sum of the transaction amount for that month, right, during that month. And so we see that amount for each month, the sum of the transaction amount. Okay, we've already taken out the 6%, so your numbers should match up exactly with the numbers here. Now, I'm going to skip over here to the 10 plus less base column. What is this column? Okay, so this column is our projection if we could have done 10% better in the month of January in 2009. How much more money would we have made? Well, $252. You see, that's just 10% of this amount, 2,520, right? And so we're going to, for this column, we're going to sum the transaction amount again and multiply by 0.1. That's the only difference, right? And that will give us then this number, our 10 plus, less the base. And then the column to the right of that is 20%, right? So $504 is 20% more than 2,520. Okay? Back to these columns, the 10 plus column. This then is the amount we would have made our base plus the 10%. So we sum the transaction amount again, and this time we multiply by 1.1, right? And we get the base plus the 10%, 2,520 plus 252 equals 2,772. Okay? And then the same for this column, which is our 20 plus. That is the base amount plus the 20%, the $504, and it gives us this amount. So that's what this table is telling us. Now, how do we construct this table? I'm going to go to my pseudocode again, okay, and give you the structure and some of it, and then you should be able to fill in the rest of this and get it in the right syntax. Okay? So you see that we have two levels of select here. We have a nested select. And let's focus first on the inner select. What are we selecting? Well, how many columns do we have here? We have one column for month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Right, 6 columns. And so in our select, here we're going to have six columns that we're selecting from, plus 1, okay, because I told you we have a hidden column. And so we will have 7 columns in our inner select here. One that we will use to help us sort, and the other 6 we will actually print out. And so in our outer select, we will select 6 of these that we will print, and then this 7th one in here will remain hidden. We will not select it to be printed in the outer select. Okay, so this first column builds for us the month, okay? So the month dash 2009, JAN dash 2009. And I've given you the complete line of code here. All right, so you see select and then concatenate and then a to-char conversion on transaction date, and you see a parameter here. We'll talk about this. Then we concatenate a dash, and then we extract, and we're concatenating this dash plus everything in the parentheses here, this extract of the year from the transaction date, which will give us the 2009, and then we are giving that an alias as month, right? That column will be called month. Okay, so let's go through this in more detail. So we've got some nested concatenation going on here, and to-char and extract functions in here. So let's go through the details here. And let's start by going to the innermost function, okay? So what are we doing in here? So we've got our transaction date, and we need to get the month and the year out of the transaction date. So at the end is the year. 2009 comes on the right end of that total value, right? So from the transaction date, we are extracting year from transaction date. Okay, so that will pull out the year. Now, as Oracle goes through and executes that, Oracle will pull out all the years, right? It's going to run across all of our data. It will pull out all the years, but we're going to filter down here in a where clause so that we only get the year 2009 in the end. Okay, so we'll filter that. So now we've extracted the year from transaction date here, and then we are concatenating this a dash and the year. Okay, we concatenate the dash and the year. So now we've got dash 2009. All right. And now what do we have to the left here? Now we have a toChar, our toChar function on the transaction date to get the month. So this is using the toChar function in a different way, right? We intuitively understand taking a number and formatting that number into a character string. But now we're using toChar operating on a date field, and it has different functionality when operating on a date field. And so this right here, this MON, is a parameter on this toChar function, telling toChar what is it we want out of this date. And look that up, all right? All right, you need to look that up. If you go to just Google that. I'm looking to see if I have it. Where do I have that? I have it up here. Okay. And so toChar format specifiers. And here you see toChar operating on dates, and here you see MON. And so what does MON do as a parameter on toChar? And it extracts the month as a 3-character month, JAN. Okay? All right. So back to our pseudocode. So toChar will take the transaction date based on this parameter, MON. It will extract the 3. It will translate the date, the month, into 3-character letters, JAN. Okay, FEBMAR. Okay. So we've now, using our toChar function, have the JAN. Okay, so over here we had the dash 2009. We constructed that, and now we have constructed the JAN. And now outside here we have another concat, right? An over inclusive concat that takes the JAN and concatenates that with the result of this expression, which is the dash 2009, and the final result then is JAN dash 2009. Okay, so play with that and see how that works. See See what that does for you, okay? Make sure you have all the right number of parentheses because we've got a lot of nesting going on in that statement with these various functions that we're using, okay? Okay, we now have the month column. We have constructed the month. This now is our next column, our second column, and this is our hidden column. You see here in this column we give it a column alias of sort key, and you see that used down here in the final order by, and we'll use that hidden field, the sort key, to make sure that we get the months in the right order. All right, so relational tables. As Oracle is building the result table in memory, being a relational table, by definition, the rows are not ordered, okay? So they could come back, Oracle could return those rows in any order, right? Could come back with July as the first row, and September as the second row, and March as the third row. By relational rules, Oracle can do that. But when we have it in the report, we want to guarantee that they all come back, the rows all come back in the correct order. So you can play with this query without the sort key, without the order by, without the order by on the sort key, and see what it does, see what it gives you. And it might come back in the right order, or it might not. And using this sort key will, and ordering by the sort key will guarantee us that it will come back in the right order. So what is that order? Well, January is the first month, and February the second month, and March the third month. How do we get that? And we get that, again, using the transaction date and by extracting from the transaction date. And so our parameter in the extract this time, the first time we extracted year. This time we extract month from t.transaction date. And so you should read up on this and play with this, and when you do an extract of the month, it returns a number, the number of the month. So this parameter tells the extract function, return the number of the month. And so it will, for January, return 1, and February return 2, and so forth. Okay. So that's our second column, and that's our hidden column. Then, what do we have? Well, it's been so long. Let's go back and look at our table again, our report. So we've constructed the month column. Now the base revenue, and so we're going to sum transaction amounts here, and then sum transaction amounts again times 1.1, sum transaction amounts again times 1.2, some transaction amounts again times 0.1, and some transaction amounts again times 0.2. So we have 5 columns where we are using the sum function. Okay, back to our pseudocode. So what will we do? We will sum the transaction amount, but we want to format it because we want dollar signs. And so we'll use the toChar function. So we'll put our sum inside of the toChar function, and we will give this a column alias, and we'll call it base. Okay, and then you'll have your other 4 sums of the transaction amount, just like this row this column, and with this one being 1.1, 110%, and then 1.2, 0.1, and 0.2. Okay, so you should be able to construct those transaction amounts with the two-care conversion. Okay. When we get done down here, again, transaction table is our only table, no joins from the transaction table. But we are filtering where we only want the year 2009, right? So what do we need to do here in our where clause? Where extract, and we need to do exactly the same thing we did up here. Extract year from t.transaction date. And we want it where it is equal to 2009. Right? So where extract year from transaction date equals 2009. And that will filter out and give us only the year 2009. And then we have our group by clause. Okay, so you've done a group by before. When you do a group by, you must put all non-function columns in the group by without their alias. Okay, so what does that mean to us here? Well, what are our non-function columns? We have 5 columns where we are summing transaction amount. So those are all function columns. What is left? Well, we have our column that builds the month-year combination, and our hidden column. Those are our 2 non-function columns. And so we put these 2 columns in our group by, and basically you cut and paste. You take that whole thing there, okay? Take that whole thing for both of those columns and put that in your group by, except leave off the alias, okay? Leave off the as month, leave off the as sort key, but just put all the rest of those 2 columns here in your group by, okay? And that gives you your group by. All right, so that's the inner select here. We've now constructed our table. We've told Oracle how to go get the data, put it together, summarize the transaction amounts, and Oracle does that and builds a table in memory, a result table in memory from this inner select here, right? And now we give that table, that virtual table, an alias, okay? An alias of tr. And now we can refer to these columns in here by using this table alias out here in our outer select. And in this select will then be the columns that are printed on the report. How many columns will we have here? Go back and look at the report, right? 6 columns, all of these except the hidden column. And so tr.month as, and we're referring as month. So let's talk about this reference here of month and this alias here of month. Okay, so this tr.month refers to this transaction, this virtual transaction table built in memory, and then month here refers to the alias inside of here. So Oracle matches up on this column here. So Oracle will take the value of this column and put it into this outer select column here, month. So tr.month, select tr.month, And then the alias in the outer select is as month, and this alias is what prints on the report. Okay, so the same for base here. So tr.base, Oracle matches on, it looks down here, and here is the column that has the alias of base. Oracle takes the value of this column, puts it into this outer column here, and then gives it the alias of base revenue, and then base revenue is what prints, and then the values print under that. Okay, so our alias, our column aliases here on the outer select are our headers for the report. Okay, and then our table references, tr.table references, reference the aliases down here in the inner select. And so you will give each of these columns alias names, and you will then refer to those column alias names here, and then you will give the outer column an alias name, and the alias name will be what we want in the report. Base revenue, so month base revenue, 10 plus, 20 plus, 10 plus less base, 20 plus less base. Okay, those are your outer column aliases. All right. So we have our select, our outer select here, and then from, and then our inner select that we're pulling the data from here into these columns out here, printing those, and then last of all, we have our order by and order by tr dot sort key, and that will then, because we've extracted the month as a number, 1, 2, 3, 4 through 12, then the order by will put our months in the correct order for our report. Okay, that's it. You run that query and get this result, and you've successfully completed the report. All right, so go back, replay that as needed, experiment, play around with these things. If you need help, reach out to your peers on the Google Hangout, or you can use the questions and conversations. Use that also. Reach out to Josh, reach out to me, and we'll get through Lab 11. Okay. All right. We'll call it good for now, and I'll go ahead and close the video.